Hey guys, okay, so this is class 2 of 4, and today we are going to go over CSS. So if you'll remember last time, we went over HTML code and how to create a website. Today we're going to use CSS to enhance what you've already created. So first things first, if you'll remember, we created this folder too that houses everything, and it's important to keep them all in one location. In this case, we have them in the folder, but what we're going to do is move those two elements outside onto your desktop. You'll see why later on. And then just delete that folder so that you want both of the components living on your desktop now. So I'm going to open this up, take these two guys, move them to my desktop, close it out, and I'm just going to delete this folder to trash. Okay, so we have our HTML, our index page, which you'll remember that code serves as our homepage content. And then the files that relate to it include this little picture, in my case, of a puppy dog, but yours obviously will be different. We're going to use Atom to open the index file, and I already have mine open, so I'm just going to go grab that real fast. Okay, so I have mine condensed again. It makes it easier for me. Let me just get this set up real fast. So we have our code on one side, and then I'm going to bring over my web browser on the other side. Shrink this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, let me move myself out of the way here. Okay, so you can see everything that's coded here is reflecting in our web browser, because our web browser is, again, talking to the server, getting the code, reading it and rendering it, and what is rendered is what we see here on the web browser. So I've changed some content since the file that we've created, and of course yours is personalized as well. So I've changed the tab or the title content. I've changed the H1 and all the H2, H3 content. I've changed the items within my list, and then I've changed not only the location, but the call to action for my link as well. So, like I said, today we are going to go over CSS, which just enhances the style of our page. If you're looking at this page, it obviously looks like it came from 1989, and it just looks really boring and bland. So we need to sass it up a little bit. We need to dress it up and make it a little bit more appealing. Let's actually go over let's go over the assignment 2 really fast and see what you're going to be ending up turning in. Let me bring it up. Okay. So this assignment 2, the biographical site, is what is going to be serving as your About Me page eventually on your own website. So the things that we're going to want to create, at least 3 headers. So if you're looking at your own website or your own code, we have 3 headers already done, at least 3 headers already done. We'll want 1 paragraph, which we don't have yet, and we'll get to that in just a second. We want at least 1 list. Got that. At least 1 image of yourself. So you can add, it doesn't have to be of yourself. It can be the image that you've chosen, the puppy, or actually it does need to be of yourself, because we are going to change this to be about you. So forgive me. We do want a picture of yourself in this case. We want at least 3 links. So we have 1 now. We'll just need to kind of replicate that area or that portion. And then we need it to be styled with CSS. So the things that we're going to go over today, I'm going to show you how to add a paragraph in your code. And I'm also going to show you how you can style your current HTML code with CSS. So what does CSS even stand for? CSS is the shorthand for cascading style sheet. So if you think about like house, the blueprint is equivalent to HTML, right? Like it shows you where all the rooms are. Well, CSS is kind of like the interior decorator. It is the thing that can go through and put paint on the walls and hang pictures and put the right couch in the right place and hang your TV and all that like fun, fancy stuff. So that is what we're going to learn today. So let me just minimize this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go over is starting CSS and where we would even put that. When you look at code, how it is rendered is based on a hierarchy. So we will put, we're going to start a new tag basically called style, style above the title. So that is telling me that everything thereafter, everything under style will have to adhere to what we will lay out as our style sheet. And so we're going to want to end style after this bottom portion here, in my case, adopt a puppy today. So we will put it, we'll end style. Actually, we're going to end style right above body. How do we end again? It's that backslash style. So, actually, I may have just told you wrong. Let me bring up. Hold on just a second. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of trying to look at 2 or 3 different note sheets here. Okay. I'm sorry. We want to end it. We want to start it after title. Here we go. Right here. Style. And we want to end it right under head. Okay, so, oops. My goodness. Okay, so basically everything after title, everything after puppies, puppies everywhere, which is my tab content, we want, basically we're going to say everything under that encompasses this content within the page. We want to adhere to whatever style we lay out, whatever CSS style we lay out. So we want to start it right after title, and then we want to build it out, and then we want to end it right before we end the head. So that's basically giving the directive for that whole page of what we want it to do. That's before the body content actually starts. So everything that's within the body will read and adhere to the rules that we lay out within these style brackets. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if I confused you guys. In this case, like I was saying, the hierarchy, the higher it up, the bossier it is. So the style is very high. So that means everything that's below it must listen to the style and must adhere to it. So we have, let me show you this graphic, which might help explain what you're about to see. Oops. And w3schools.com is a great website. I will include it in the description below, but it's fantastic for like searching for different CSS code. If you're looking to do something a little bit fancier, it's awesome. So CSS is very, very similar to HTML in how we're going to write it. But as you see me type this out, this is what I mean. So you're going to have a selector, and that tells you like what entity you're going to be bossing around. And then you're going to have a declaration, or sometimes 2 or 3 or however many. In this case, this example has 2 declarations. So it's telling me the color I want H1, I want that color to be blue. And I want the font size to be 12. So every H1 will be blue and 12 point font, or 12, 12 pixel font. So, and you'll notice that it's a little bit different in that it has these curly brackets instead. So going back to our site, say that I don't like this white background. It is boring me. I want to make it, we'll say red. So I will put under style, body, and then I'm going to have a curly bracket. And then within these brackets, that's where I'm going to define what those declarations will be, what I want it to do. So I want to say, for this, I want to say background is, we'll say light blue. And you want to end it with a semicolon. That's pretty much the standard. So you have the curly bracket, you have what you want to change and a colon, and then you have what you want it to change to. In this case, it's a color. And then a semicolon completes that command, that declaration. And then you have the close bracket, which again is like closing it out, or the curly bracket, closing it out and keeping it all together. So let's see, let's save that. Come over here, refresh. Oh, I wonder if it's searching for the, let's go to open file one more time. And because I had it originally in that folder, it's not knowing where to look. So let's pick the right folder location, open it there, and there's my blue background. So that was a great little life lesson. Remember, I had it in the folder to begin with, so that's where my web page was looking for it, within that folder that no longer exists. So now I just went and rebrowsed it from my desktop, and it worked. So I have a blue background. Everything else looks the same. I'm going to close this old window out, move this guy over here. Okay, so now that we have the body light blue, let's try to change, let's try to change header 1. We'll put header 1, we'll make red. So my header 1, if you'll remember, puppies are the best. It's the biggest one. H1 is the biggest font for headers. And we'll just start a new line here. And we'll say all the H1s we want to be color, colon, red, semicolon. So it's that same formula. Squiggly bracket or curly bracket, color, so that's telling what to change, colon, and then giving it a directive. We want it to be red, semicolon, and squiggly bracket. So let's save that. Let's move over here. Let's refresh. And did not work. Let's see what I did wrong here. H1, color red. You know what? I might need a space in here. Okay, let's try that. Sometimes that happens too. Let's go ahead and refresh, and it changed it to red. Okay, so sometimes when things don't work as you plan them to, that is part of website building and tweaking. Google always, if you have a problem, if you hit a snag, go ahead and Google it. And you can oftentimes find exactly where it's at. So, you know, it's very, very sensitive. Like I was telling you guys in the last video, super, super sensitive. That's why you have to kind of like do it exactly as I was typing it. Well, it's very much the same here. I needed to make sure that it was exactly like it should be, or the browser doesn't know how to render it. It only speaks that language. And so even something as simple as a missing space will make a huge difference. So now that we have H1 in red, let's try, oh, here's a question. So I've changed the background to light blue, and I've changed H1s to red, but how did I know how to pick that color? Like, how did I know light blue was going to render and produce that shade of blue? Well, there's a really cool website called Neil Orange Peel. And I'll also leave that in the description as well. But that has a ton of different information about like CSS code in like those specific colors. So you can find a lot of those answers, and you can find like different shades and colors that you'd want to use. Obviously, this is like a terrible example of color combinations, but it's just for this example to show you guys the code. But Neil Orange Peel, you'll use that as you build out your About Me page and finding that right color combination for you and the right shades of things. So I wasn't born knowing that light blue was the right background color. You just kind of go and play around and figure out which ones you want to use. Let's change H2s now. We're going to want to change those to purple. I don't know. So we have H2, curly brackets. We're going to do color, and we're going to do space, purple, and semicolon. Okay, we're going to save it. Fingers crossed, everyone. Let's hope this works. Okay, so if H2 turns purple, then we're looking for puppy breeds to change purple. Perfect, it worked. So it is kind of like a make the change in code, save it, hold your breath and hope it works. If it didn't, it's not that the browser is incorrect, it's that you probably coded it incorrect, just like I did a few seconds ago. We are all human. Okay, so let's style a little bit more. All these fonts, pretty bland. What would you say, like Times New Roman or something? It's just kind of blah. Let's say that we wanted to get fancier with our fonts. We will go to fonts.google.com. I'm just going to open up this page so you can see it a little bit better. And again, I'll include this link as well in the descriptions and in the lessons as well in Sakai, so you can get to these later on. Here you can really just kind of shop around and see which ones you fancy. So like I really kind of like this one. That's pretty cool. So we're just gonna, if you find one or two that you like, you're just gonna hit the select this font button. And I will say, as we talked about in the first lecture, you don't want to have multiple fonts on one page. 2 is pretty common. 3 is getting a little, that's like pushing the borders. It's not breaking the rules necessarily, but you definitely don't want to have like 20 fonts going on. That's too much. So we'll pick this one, and let's go pick something. Well, nothing is really speaking to me today. We'll pick this fat chunky guy. Anton. Okay, so we have 2 families selected. And what we're going to do is, first things first, we are going to take this link up at the top and copy it. Okay? Then we're going to come back. I'm just going to kind of put this guy a little bit smaller. Okay. And above style, that's where we're going to paste that code. So remember the hierarchy. So now, because the link is above style, the style knows that the link is its boss. So in the hierarchy of this code, we have the link at the top, and that's where you want to put your font links. If you use the font.google website, you're going to want to first select the fonts that you want to use and then place that link up here above the style bracket. If you design your stuff and you want to go back and shop for some more fonts, this link must change. So you'll need to go back and shop for all your fonts. See, on here I have mine selected. So if I had 2 or 3 more fonts, I'll need to get my new updated link. And you'll notice within the link, it mentions the different fonts. So that's why it's kind of unique to the ones that you've shopped for and that you intend on using. So going back to my style sheet, we have some bossiness going on for header 1, header 2, and our background. Let's say we want to change, let's see, go back to our page. We'll change puppy diets to purple. So we'll change H3, curly bracket, and we're going to say color. We want that purple as well, and semicolon. And we want font, the actual font, to change too. So in this case, we'll say font family, and as you can see, like it's prompting me to choose this one. That's fine. Font family colon, and then we're going to want to type in, we can actually go back to our Google Fonts and take this code. That's probably a little more accurate. Let me move my little guy up here. So if I want to use that first font that I chose, not the fat chunky one, but the one above that, I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to my code over here. I'm going to select that, paste it in there. So we have font family. That's what I want to change, and I want to change it to Montserrat. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And this is just telling it what kind of font it is. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to delete this little extra space there. We're going to save. We are going to move this guy down here again. We are going to go back to our page, and we're going to cross our fingers. And oh, it changed it to H3. I wanted it to change on H4. So let's go back here. Let's change it here, H4. Let's save it. Let's go back here and update that. There we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted puppy diets. You'll see changed to purple, and it changed to that font type. So now that we know how to change fonts, we know how to change color of font. Let's see here. What do we want to do? Let's change the stuff in the list to that second type of font. So in that case, we are going to go still within the style. Remember, it's telling everything under the style blocks what to do. So we want to change the font type, the font family of our list. So we will have LI, squiggly, and we want to do font family. I'm not going to hand type this. Let's go just be accurate and grab that font family. We'll come back over here, put that in our squigglies. I also wanted to change the color. So let's do color red for now, just so we can see a difference. Okay, we're going to save, go back to our page. Let's refresh, and it's changed the font color to red and the font type, the font family to Anton. Okay, so what if I didn't want that attribution, that color and font family on all of these? Say that I just wanted it to be on purple puppies. How do I change that just for one line item? Well, in this case, that is when we would create something called a class. So if you think about what a class is kind of like a VIP ticket, right? So a class it wouldn't be applied to anybody outside of who you invited, who is cool enough to get a VIP pass. So for this instance, let's take off this code so that it doesn't apply anymore to all four of these bullets. And I'm going to save that, update my page just so you can see that update. So they're back to normal. I just want to make those changes to purple puppies. So for this, to create a, let me go to my notes really fast. So to create a class, you have to first define the name of the class. So that is the name of that VIP pass. And in this case, it will be, we'll say we want to make them actually all What do you think? We'll say dark blue. So we're going to change purple puppies to dark blue. That's going to be the class. So that's what we're naming the class, is dark blue. And the things that we give this VIP pass to, this dark blue VIP pass to, will present and look like they are dark blue font and in that different Anton font family. Okay, so we're going to change the color to dark blue and the font family to Anton for everybody that we determine gets the VIP pass, dark blue. So we have a class named dark blue, and now we have to define what that dark blue looks like. So we'll say squiggly line and color dark blue, semicolon, and then the font family, let's go get him, let's get him again. Copy that, paste it right in here. So if we're looking at our code here, we have period dark blue. So that is saying I have a class, that's period. I have a class named dark blue. That's the name of the class. And then everything that I assign that dark blue class to should be dark blue and in the Anton font. Okay? So now that we've established what class that is and how it should look, then we're going to go apply it. So if I want to apply it to that, what do we say? Purple puppies, I'm going to come under this line or this list item, and within that bracket, I'm going to say class, not clad, class equals, and then I'm going to say dark blue. So for a millisecond, I thought I needed to put a period there. You don't. It's quotation mark, dark blue, the name of your class, and then end quote. So now everything on this line item should adhere to the dark blue class, which again is the color dark blue font and the font family Anton. So it's telling this only applies to that class. Okay, so let's save that and see if it worked. Refresh. And it did. So it's choosing dark, that looks kind of purplish on my screen, but it's dark blue color and in the Anton font. So it's saying, calling that class that we had already pre-established up there. Okay, so in order to start a new class, you have to first define it, and you start defining a class with a period that's saying, hey, I want to establish a class. Then you name the class, then you define the class, and then you can go down here and apply the class. Okay? So earlier I had mentioned paragraphs. And I know that we had some breaks. If you look at our code, we have some breaks between these list items, and that gives us some breathing room. So if we wanted to create a paragraph break, let's put a paragraph break above or below puppy breeds. So a paragraph is just a P tag. And here we would say puppies come in all shapes and sizes. There are so many breeds to choose from. Okay. So I've completed my sentence and I want to end that paragraph. How do we end something again? You backslash and then end that command. That's telling it that the paragraph is over. So if I want another paragraph, I would say P, because we're starting that command again. I'll say puppies. We'll say puppy breeds come in all sorts of colors. End paragraph. Okay, so let's save that. Let's go over to our page, refresh, and see what it looks like. Awesome. So we have our text there. Now, the difference between paragraphs and breaks. If you'll remember, breaks are actual line breaks, like hitting the paragraph or the enter button on your keyboard when you're in Microsoft Word. Paragraphs are different chunks of content, so they are what you would think of like as a solid thought. So this has 2 sentences. If there are like 3 or 4 sentences, then that would be in one paragraph within the paragraph carets. And the same with this one. This is in a different paragraph break or a paragraph bracket because it's like a different stream of thought. So paragraphs are different than breaks. Sometimes they render very similarly. Sometimes they look very similar when you actually apply them. But think of it like this. Paragraphs are used for sentences. Breaks are used for that hard return. Okay? Chunks of sentences too. Okay, so now that we have a few paragraphs in there and we've learned how to make a class and apply a class, let's see what else we need to do. Let's change font size. So we know that we can change headers. We have header 1, which is the big beast. That's the biggest one. We have header 2, which is a bit smaller. Header 3, even smaller than that. And header 4, which is the tinier one. But if we wanted to change actual font size within, like say our paragraph here is a little small, we want to change that, we can do that. So headers and font size are different in that headers and the size that is applied are pretty standardized, and changing the font in paragraph text is just gives you a little bit more flexibility. It's like it's just easier to change. So we will go to our style sheet. We want to change this for the whole thing. And we're going to say, because remember, if we're creating it in style sheet and it's above the body, then everything below this style sheet has to adhere to that. So if we want to change the font size, of paragraphs, we'll say paragraph. And this is what we want. Oops, squiggly. This is what we want the paragraph font size to be. We'll say 3 EM. So EM is just a measurement, and then our semicolon. EM is just a measurement. It's kind of like pixels or any other inches, any other kind of value, I guess. There are several different ways to do that. I just typically use 3M. So let's save that. Let's come over here. Let's refresh. And you can see it is huge. So 3M is a bit big. So let's go over here, change it to 2 and see what happens. 2. We'll save that. We'll come back over here, refresh. That's a little better. Okay, let's see what 1 looks like just to see. Save, come over here, save. Oh, 1 was typical. Okay, let's change it to 2. And save. Come back over here, refresh. Okay, so this is super ugly, I get it. But you're just seeing like what we can change and how that might look. One other thing that I wanted to show you just to help dress up your web pages is another class. So again, we've created the dark blue class. Let's create another class. And how do we start to create a class? First, we have to put a period and that says, hey, I want to create a class. And then we have to name the class. So we're going to put boxed here. And so everything that we apply boxed to down below will have to adhere to these rules. So the rules we'll put in our squigglies. And we want to say background, colon, we'll say pink, semicolon. What other attributes might we want? We'll say border style, colon. We want it solid. And there are different things that you could do dashed or lined or whatever. But in this case, we'll just go solid. Border color, colon, we'll say white, semicolon. And what else do we want? We'll do padding. colon 10px and semicolon. Okay, let's go back over this. So if you had no idea, to even think about defining what border style was or border color, that's totally fine. The way that you go about learning this stuff or getting creative is using that this website w3schools.com, going and searching for table CSS or box CSS or callout CSS. Googling things will show you how to code this stuff. So for this one, we have the background we want should be pink. The border around it should be solid. We want the border color itself to be white, and then padding to be 10 pixels. So padding is the space between the items within your box and the outline of your box. So it's gives it some breathing room a bit. So now that we have that defined, we have a class named box that will adhere to all of those rules that we just laid out. So what do we want to apply boxed to? Well, we have a list, which is a great option. So I expect everything in here to be, with a pink background and a white border and have some padding. Let's just throw in this link too, just to keep it kind of all together. So I'm going to come down, now that I've created that command, that class within style, I'm going to come down to our code down here. I'm going to find where my list starts. It starts with black puppies. And here I'm going to put, let's see, div class equals boxed. And it has the quotes on it as well. And I'm going to close that caret out. Okay, so why did I put div on there? Div is used when you have class being applied to a big chunk of content in HTML. So because we have 4 bullets and the Adopt a Puppy Today link, that's a big chunk of content that I want to kind of encompass and have this class applied to. So that's why you put it in div. It just kind of cleans it up and it keeps the command adhering to what it needs to adhere to. So because I started that command div, I need to end it. I need to tell this code, this is only what I want boxed to be applied to. So we want to come down here and let's say that we didn't want the link to be included in this. We'll put div right here. So it really should only apply to these 4 bullets. I'm going to save. I'm going to come over to my sheet or my web page. I'm going to update, and there it is. So we have everything in this pink box, white solid border, and some padding around there. But this gets buried, and it's just not really great design. So I want to include that in my box too, right? So then I would just take my div. I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to come down here below my link, and that's where I'm going to say stop that div after my link. Okay, remember, when we start a command, we have to end a command, and we have to tell it where we want it to end. So let's save that. Let's come back over here to our web page and refresh. And there we go. So our box now encompasses all 4 bullets and the link, which is still super ugly, but you get the point. Let's see what else we want to go over today. I think I had mentioned Google Fonts is a great place to find the fonts that you want to kind of shop around for. I'm just going to open this up just for a minute. Okay, so we have Google Fonts, which I'll include in the description and the lessons in Sakai. I have Neil Orange Peel, great for looking for those commands that we just don't know off the top of our head. I mean, let's be real. Nobody came out of the womb knowing how to code. That's totally fine. use this website. If you also can't find it here, whatever you're looking for, or if you're just trying to come up with some creative ideas, Google. If there's so many websites out there for cool CSS code, just getting really creative and trying things. And then this w3schools.com is awesome for HTML and for CSS. We won't get into JavaScript just because the condensed semester now. But if you're interested in coding and like creating a little bit more pop and sizzle, that's also, they just have tons on w3schools.com. So you can for sure kind of use their search engine on here and find some answers to questions or some different resources. Going over, let me condense this just a little bit real fast. Going over this code. So I know we've done a lot in here today and we've gone over a lot. I don't expect or want you guys to retype all of this on your own unless you have been doing this as you've watched. That's totally fine too. But I'll make this code available, give you the file on Sakai probably, I guess within, I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Maybe I'll probably give you the code within resources or maybe attach the file to the lesson. So stay tuned for that. I'll send an announcement out about that. But you don't have to start from scratch, basically, is my point. What you're going to want to do, however, is change all the text to what you want your About Me page to be. So I have it about puppies right now. Well, your About Me page is not going to be about puppies or whatever HTML file you sent to me for the web assignment 1. This web assignment 2 is all about you. So it's your profile About Me page. Think of it like you are applying for a job and I'm your potential employer and you're trying to impress me. So I want a professional picture of you, as professional as you have. I want all this text to reflect things about you. So, like the tab shouldn't say puppies everywhere. It should say something, about me or something like that. You should have your name in here. You should have content about you. And again, switching out that picture. You can definitely use this code. I do want you to use this code as a base, change out all of the text and the characteristics about it. So I want you to change the font color. I want you to change these attributes that we've coded in this CSS and the HTML below to personalize it. Handing that into me would be probably a mid to high B. Going above and beyond that and doing research on your own independently, getting very creative, that would earn yourself an A. So expectation is replacing all the content that I currently have on this website, including colors, font size, the words, the picture. That would earn, about an 85 to 87%. I want you to go above and beyond that. I want you to research and find new code to try and to use. Putting, 2 pictures of yourself will not earn you an A. So going out and learning how to research code is the only way that you learn how to code. Again, none of us were born knowing this. That's how you all kind of develop and learn different coding and design techniques. I want you to find new font families through the Google Fonts. And when you do, don't forget to change this link. Don't forget to do that, because if you do, it won't work. And then you'll be super frustrated. So you can go snag my code, start from there, get creative, get outside your comfort zone, ask questions from and to each other. Reddit is a great place too, to throw out questions and see what people say if it hasn't already been answered. You'll want to save that file as index.html. So don't forget to do that as well. Just replace what index.html file you currently have. Let's see. So if you haven't already, be sure that you've watched the GoDaddy video and have set that up because we will be using and taking these files that we've already created, using them. We're going to put them on GoDaddy within the account that you've purchased. And then the next few classes, we're going to be using WordPress to render your new website. So this is like this file about puppies that you see now. Well, nobody can see it. Nobody in the world can see it except for me because it's on my desktop, right? So once we use these files that we've created, drop them in GoDaddy, and then use WordPress to display them and to publicize them, that's when they'll be made to the public and on the interwebs. So that's the next few steps. You guys have HTML under your belt. You should have CSS under your belt now. We'll still, of course, hold our Zoom classes for our classroom times Tuesday and Thursday at 8. You can ask questions in the forums or Facebook, whatever we've decided to set up. And you guys have fun, get creative, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Stay safe. Bye. Hey guys, sorry, I had a quick amendment to that last video I made, and I realized the lighting is pretty dark because the sun is setting. So I just quickly wanted to make a change. I had just told you what you'll be submitting to me in web assignment 2 is the file, the index.html file, and your photos, whatever photos you may use. I'm actually wanting to have you submit a link instead. So we're going to do this together. So you've already set up your GoDaddy account. And what we're going to do is walk through the steps that you'll need to take to create the actual website. So you have the files there. That's why we saved them on your desktop. And then we're going to migrate them into GoDaddy, which will create the broadcast that I was speaking about earlier, and put them actually on the internet. So first things first, I'm going to bring this over here. Let me just do this real fast. Okay. So we have the GoDaddy website right here. Go ahead and get logged in. You'll log in, and then you'll go to, let's see, manage domains. Actually, there's a better way of doing this. Let's go to account, or my products, I'm sorry. Let's go to my products. So this is what your page should look like. Under web hosting, not domains, but under web hosting, that's where we're going to click manage all. You're going to see a page like this. And then we're going to click on web hosting with cPanel right here. So that brings you to this page. So that was kind of a roundabout way of going about it, but basically you're going to go from here to my products. Let's just do this one more time. And then under web hosting, manage. And then if it'll load, right here, you're going to see this page. So you can click on cPanel admin, but I've found that that page like locks up for whatever reason a lot. So we're really wanting to hit the file manager. So let's go ahead and click on file manager up here. And it should bring you to something like this. This looks kind of scary. You may not know what you're looking at. That's totally fine. We're going to click on public_HTML. So you'll see that that kind of drops down into CGI bin and public HTML. So we really want public_HTML to be bolded. That indicates that we're looking within that folder, not the CGI bin folder. So the difference, let me just show you. This is the screen that you see where this is bolded, CGI bin, and you don't see anything in here. That's the wrong screen. Be sure that you've clicked on public_HTML and that you should see these 4 items. So from here, we're going to go to add a new folder, and we're going to name this Project 1. Remember, we want to keep everything under like lowercase and no spaces, no special characters, ever, ever, ever. So lowercase, no special characters, no spaces. So project 1 is what you want to name this. And it should be, the new folder will be created under /public_HTML as it says right here. Then you just click on create new folder. And you'll see that project was added to this list of items. So again, we want to click on that folder in particular, and there should be nothing in there. So project 1 should be bolded. There should be nothing in here. And then we're going to click on upload. And that's where you're going to put your about me HTML file, the index file that we've been working on that includes HTML and CSS. And then any photos that you have, definitely one of yourself. And if you've included other photos as well, you're going to want to select those and browse them in. So here's mine. I'm going to move my recorder, choose that. Another option is you can drag and drop. So I have my puppy over here on one of my screens. I'm just going to drag it on in here. One thing to note is that you can't select multiple files or drag over and drop in multiple files at a time. It's one at a time, which kind of sucks, but that's the way GoDaddy is set up. So now that you have all your files in here, your index.html file and your pick one, or the additional pictures that you've included, the additional images, then you're going to hit go back, this button right here, and you should see all of your files within the project 1 bin. Okay, so then to check to see how, so everything, your website is launched now. GoDaddy pushes out this content and creates the website, so it is out there for all the world to see. So in order to see your website, you're going to want to type in whatever domain name you picked. So mine is stephaniepritchard.com, and then /project1. So that is telling it go from my domain, stephaniepritchard.com, and call all of the content and apply it from project 1 folder that we just set up in GoDaddy. As you can see, the content that I had in my title, Puppies, Puppies Everywhere, is also included as I type in my hyperlink here. So let's go ahead and hit enter, and your website should be posted for all the world to see. So if you're super proud and you want to send it to your mom, your grandma, or whomever, that's great, do it. Otherwise, you're going to take your link, copy that bad boy, and that is what I want for assignment, web assignment 2. So again, you don't have to give me your index.html file and all those separate photo files. You can just give me the hyperlink to your now live website. So that is kind of the very old school traditional way of building a website. You've just learned HTML, CSS, how to place these on a file server like we did in GoDaddy. And then it launches all this content and allows the browser to then render it, and read it, and render it for us. The next classes that we'll be learning involve WordPress, which makes the editorial process for editing and building a website and maintaining it a bit easier, a little less manual, but we really needed to learn how to do this first because it's really like the meat and potatoes of web design. And you can also apply a lot of these things like the coding both for HTML and CSS in WordPress, which I'll show you next class or next lecture. So excellent work today, and I look forward to seeing your guys' links in web assignment 2. Thanks. Bye.